You want reality TV? Follow us as we show you the side of police chase videos you normally don't see. Wild arrest, kamikaze crooks, and some of the most intense moments caught on video. Next on Hot Pursuit. It's the puzzle that has challenged philosophers for decades. Which came first, the pickup truck or the criminal? Either way, if you really want to make a career in crime, the pickup is the right set of wheels for you. The only downside is that the police might keep a closer eye on you just for driving one. Now, to confirm your criminal status, you need to do something blatantly illegal in front of an officer, like speeding hazardously. Why settle for one police car when you could have 3 or 4 on your tail? At this point, you have 2 options. You could stick to the roads and drive around for hours and hours just to make completely sure that the police know you're a criminal. Or, if you're feeling adventurous, you could experiment with taking the chase off-road. Pickup trucks are, after all, designed for dealing with difficult terrain. To start things off, drive through a parking lot or 2. And after establishing that the pickup handles well on this uneven ground, you could graduate to speeding through a university campus.
We're going into college. We got them blocked in.
Basically, there are no limits. Because no matter where you perform your off-roading stunts, at a hospital,
Behind the hospital in the gas field.
at the local cemetery,
He's going to go in the cemetery.
or even at a golf course, you'll be violating enough traffic laws to put you and your pickup at the top of the local most wanted list. But there is an alternative. If in the process of testing out your pickup truck's all-terrain capabilities, you get lost in the wilderness, then there's a very good chance you might be able to lose the cops, as our truckhead friend somehow managed to do. The Georgia cop here, tailing this 4x4, is ready to initiate a pit maneuver, a police technique that basically involves ramming your subject off the road. The officer waits patiently, however, until the right moment to pull it off. There's also plenty of cops waiting to join in on the action. There's a couple of squad cars here, for example, and another one sitting here. 2 more cruisers view the action from the safety of the bridge, and another cop car sits here as backup. But despite the heavy police presence, the SUV carries on, even if it means racing on the shoulder to avoid the heavy traffic. There's a surprise for the runaway, though, as he weaves out of the traffic jam. 2 more squad cars are waiting to cut him off. First contact is made as the cruiser ahead clips the front end of the vehicle. But the SUV driver recovers and comes back for more. It's not long before the driver attempts a pit-style maneuver of his own. He hits the cruiser hard, sending it out of control. But in doing so, he loses control of his own vehicle and comes to a grinding halt just ahead. As police officers arrive on the scene, the driver and passenger of the 4x4 are both taken out of their vehicle and into custody. This guy thought he had the police beat, but when he tries to ram this police cruiser, he winds up losing control of his own car. A police cruiser has been pursuing the driver of the white Mustang below for quite some time. He's been avoiding police for hours, leading them on a high-speed chase through the streets of Los Angeles. Watch as he blows by other cars on the road, ignoring all the rules of the road. If he wasn't going so fast, Maybe he'd find it easier to read the stop signs posted along the way.
Stop signs. He just flew right through that stop sign. Coming up to a blind intersection here. Let's see what happens.
In any case, he breezes straight through intersection after intersection.
Oh, man.
And why is this suspect on the run?
And we can tell you that this guy was wanted for failure to yield, a traffic violation.
But the risks he's taking to get as far away from police as possible
Really taking off right now.
are a big clue that the fugitive might be guilty of something more than just a minor driving offense.
He blows right through that stop sign.
Perhaps the Mustang is stolen, or maybe it's chock full of drugs,
Make the right turn, almost hits oncoming traffic there.
or maybe he just has a problem with authority figures. Whatever the case, this guy doesn't want to get caught.
And we can tell you that he is just completely out of control.
And in order to get away from the pursuing officers, he's prepared to risk his life and the lives of innocent bystanders. Watch as he tries to make this left turn and gets smacked by an oncoming car. At this point, the fugitive's vehicle is out of commission, so he does what any other criminal in this situation would do.
Vehicle, and now it's a foot chase.
He takes off. The cops take aim at the suspect,
The police car hits him.
but he manages to slip by them.
This guy is on the run. He's desperate. He's trying to get away.
He's definitely fast, but not as fast or as big as the oncoming LAPD squad car.
He trips over the curb.
This officer jumps at the chance to restrain the suspect, and soon other officers follow his lead. The captive continues to struggle to break free, but the cops have him pinned. This guy had a good run, but in the end, the cops won. Now he'll have plenty of time to think about where his plan went wrong. Next on Hot Pursuit, a medical situation of a different kind, and a dead end ends this police chase. Driving at night is very similar to driving during the day, except it's a lot darker, which is why it's a good idea to turn on your headlights. But even with the added visibility, you'll still need to pay some sort of attention to what's going on around you, which means not driving blindly through stop signs like this one, as well as staying safely out of the way of huge 18-wheelers, like that one. This advice is all very straightforward, but let's just go over it again in case you're like the officer in this footage, who obviously didn't pay the slightest bit of attention during driver's ed. If you're driving at night, don't forget your lights. Remember, even for cops, this still means stop. And most importantly of all, try to stay alert, or you might get hurt. Sometimes a police officer's success in a chase is dependent on the type of vehicle he's chasing. For instance, the brown 80-style A-Team van seen chugging through these Iowa back roads doesn't look difficult to keep up with.
We're doing about 30 miles an hour.
Particularly when the driver starts pushing it uphill. When he gets back onto more level ground, the fleeing suspect manages to build up some more speed.
Only doing about 60.
But it's still not enough to outrun the cruiser on his tail. And the faster the driver goes, the closer he comes to losing control of his getaway vehicle. Several times along the way, the van looks like it might end up in a ditch.
He's almost lost it a couple times.
So it's not a huge surprise that when the fugitives try to speed through this sharp bend, they wind up rolling the van into a cluster of trees.
1050. He's 1050.
1050 is official police code for crash. When the officer approaches to investigate the wreck, he discovers that the accident was violent enough to throw the driver completely out of his van.
He looks like he's been ejected.
Thankfully, the suspect is still alive.
He's right here. He's unconscious. Tell him he's unconscious.
But this cop isn't taking any chances with safety.
Cuffing him up here. Should we go in the back? Just passed out. Leg taken.
Regardless of whether this prisoner is pretending to be out cold or not, an accident like this definitely warrants immediate medical attention. Turns out, the unconscious suspect wasn't faking after all. He'll be spending some time recovering in the hospital before eventually landing in the slammer. Ambulance drivers are usually called to the scene after an accident has occurred. But in the situation of this Rainy, Ohio incident, the ambulance is the accident. Look at the crash again, and you can see that it could have been a whole lot worse. The two officers here and here, for example, managed to leap out of the way in the nick of time, and even the paramedic inside the ambulance is unhurt. All things considered, the driver of the black sports car probably couldn't have picked a better place to crash. At least here, he won't have to wait for help to show up. It's the middle of the night, and a report comes in of a robbery at a local gas station. Michigan police have quickly caught up with the suspect, so the lights and sirens go on. It's common for criminals to attempt to escape by highway, relying on hundreds of miles of straight road to get themselves away from the police. But this guy has done his homework, and he knows that these long highway chases always end in arrest. So he hits the back roads. Within minutes, he's on a dirt road, kicking up dust along the Michigan countryside. Unfortunately for the fugitive, his escape plan may have looked great at first, but in practice, there may have been a few oversights. The getaway car could have been a little newer, better suited to off-roading, and ideally capable of more than 30 miles per hour. Another bad choice, it turns out, is the route itself. Sure, long straight highways are home turf for state troopers, so avoiding them was a good idea. But as the chase progresses, our suspect starts to get cocky and takes one turn too many, taking him through thick snow-covered forests and muddy ditches and streams. This suspect has become so focused on discouraging the police from following him that he fails to notice that the dirt road he's chosen turns out to be a dead end. As he runs out of road, the hopeless fugitive holds his hands up. And when police officers finally wrestle him to the ground and arrest him, the reason for his off-road endeavor becomes clear. He's a drunken mess. Next on Hot Pursuit, big wheels equal big trouble, and a posh car poses a problem. Making your name as a criminal can be more difficult than it seems. With so many other car thieves out on the roads, it's easy for a budding auto thief to blend into the crowd. So, if you don't want to get lost in the mix, then make sure to steal a car that's as noticeable as possible. Something expensive, black and European should do the trick, like this shiny new Mercedes.
They're bailing out.
Should you later decide to travel on foot, then try running through buildings that haven't been built yet, so the helicopters can keep an eye on you. Then, pick the most obvious hiding place you can find. When you're inevitably caught, simply deny everything. That way, the police will be sure to remember you, not just as a bad criminal, but as a bad liar. In Phoenix, Arizona, one of the youngest car thieves on the roads has stolen the biggest car he could find. But police are on this 14-year-old's tail. And since the legal age for driving is 16, it's safe to say they'll bring him up on a number of charges if they can catch him. The kid can barely see over the steering wheel, which might explain why he jumps ship midstream and runs off on foot. The abandoned monster truck plows driverless through a fence. The kid scampers through dusty backyards, desperately looking for a place to hide. But it's not long before the cops track him down to his best friend's house, where they cuff the juvenile suspect and stick him in the back of a squad car. We've seen several examples of the cops using either a spike strip or the famous pit maneuver to stop runaway criminals from getting away. In certain police chase situations, though, it becomes necessary to use both techniques to bring the pursuit to an end. The 19-year-old car thief in the white vehicle ahead is becoming quite a handful for the police. The cops deployed the Stinger and successfully blew out the bad boy's front tires. But the young crook has a simple solution to this. He simply rides around on his rims. In a normal chase, the police would have had the perfect opportunity to make their capture on foot when the suspect gets out of his vehicle to carjack another truck. So the troopers select another precision tactic from their repertoire. Not even being captured, however, seems to have wiped the smug look off the young car thief's face. Next on Hot Pursuit, it's time to shake, rattle, and roll. And a vigilante takes matters into his own hands. Not all police chases are fast and exciting. Some pursuits are just slow and dull, especially the ones where the suspect doesn't realize that he's done anything wrong. Because if he's not expecting the police to be interested in him, it probably means he hasn't even noticed them driving right behind him. So, if police want to inject a little life into an otherwise tedious chase, why not scare the unwitting fugitive by treating him to a sudden burst of loud, wailing sounds and bright flashing lights? 9 times out of 10, this results in a sudden burst of speed from the suspect. And it's precisely this sense of panic that sirens and lights instill in suspects that make them such effective police tools. Because when that fight or flight reaction is triggered, it can make the suspect do some fairly stupid things, like send his car barreling into a tree. With any luck, the suspect will be so stunned by the whole turn of events that he'll simply surrender to police. But if the officer finds that the frightened fugitive is still locked in runaway mode, then the flashing reds and blues can serve one more purpose. They can be used to light the way for the ensuing cross-country foot chase. So remember, if you want to give an unsuspecting suspect a scare, simply activate the lights and sirens. Because once you've got them nicely shaken up, be sure to rattle and eventually roll. This nighttime Ohio chase starts off just like many others. The police are trying to pull over the stolen Hyundai ahead without a great deal of success. They attempt a box maneuver, hoping that it might persuade the driver to come to his senses. Instead, the suspect simply uses the opportunity to put some distance between himself and his pursuers. For a while, the officers are stuck following the fugitive's taillights, planning their next move. Until an unexpected guest joins the party. Motivated perhaps by some misguided sense of truth, justice, and the American way, the driver of this civilian vehicle decides to try his hand at a little law enforcement of his own. He speeds up to the suspect, squeezing between the stolen vehicle and another car. Once he's in the lead, the vigilante slams on his brakes, apparently inviting the crook to crash into his rear. When the suspect manages to swerve out of the way, the daring driver tries the exact same stunt again. And again. And again. For a while, the two civilian vehicles battle it out amongst themselves. This chaotic situation leaves the police without a safe way to directly intervene. While this guy's actions might be brave, they're also highly irresponsible, not to mention thoroughly illegal, and police are trained to treat such behavior extremely seriously, which means holding back until a safe solution presents itself. In fact, It's not until the car thief takes a surprise turn off the highway that the renegade civilian is finally removed from the equation. Now there's only one criminal for the officers to deal with. The criminal's inability to drive isn't going to help him. But he barrels on nonetheless. The policemen patiently maintain pursuit of this persistent fugitive. The chase carries on for what seems like an eternity, until the car thief makes a desperate decision and bails out of the vehicle. But like many other car thieves before him, this guy's legs are no match for the police. He's apprehended and carted off to jail.